So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we are taking a look at Successors by Richard Berg and Mark Simnett. So this is the latest edition from PHALANX, and the game's been around in various iterations for a while, but this is the latest one. It was on Kickstarter last year and has the PHALANX treatment, as I'm going to call it. They redid things like Hannibal and Hamilcar, and you get these big pieces, and they've made it, you know, much more in line with kind of modern, regular, like Euro-style board gaming with the components. It's very, very nice to play around with. So I'm hoping we get the same thing here. So, what is Successors? This is a 2 to 5 player war game, which is a big deal. And this is something we're probably going to take to conventions this year to try and get that big experience. And this is kind of the wars for the Macedonian succession. So Alexander the Great passed away after having done all the big old conquest, and you control one of the kind of factions within the once united Macedonian army, and you're trying to vie for control and be the successor to the empire. So let's take a look at what we get in here, because this is a piece of history that I don't know a whole lot about, frankly, and I'm hoping to explore this and also have an enjoyable time within it. So, the rules book is pretty chunky, but it's actually not all that many words. Lots of diagrams and illustrations in it. And then, let's see, optional rules, we don't care about those necessarily. So we've got like 35 pages of rules in this thing. So that's not a small amount of rules, but this is also a slightly smaller rule book than usual. And at least it's decently spaced and in full color. So, we got ourselves a sweet index. Hopefully that's good, thank goodness. Please publish indices with your wargame rules. Don't not do that. Alright, so we've got a playbook, so hopefully this is going to help us to learn. Yes, we've got an extended example of play, thank goodness. I will be reading through this. And then, do we have... I want to have a bibliography in the back. Okay, so we've got scenarios for various play accounts as well. So this is all setup instructions. Major generals, 5 players. Okay. Either way, that's our scenarios and example play is the core of that. And then we have 5 identical play aids, and even though the rest of this game has Euro components, you can't get away from the small play aids with the CRTs that might scare off non-war gamers. But this is our extensive kind of sequences of play and breakdown of various different phases and movements and what it is that you are and aren't allowed to do. So, looks like there's a good number of rules. So I'm gonna kind of plow these rules through and learn this. Hopefully we can get some big games of this going in this year. I'm very excited for. So, here's all the goodies. We will get to those in a second. Let me lay out this map for us. Because the map, I believe, I don't know how much you play on it changes, but this is the map. I'll kind of lay that out flat here. And this is the perfect kind of map for this kind of game, frankly. Everything looks to be fairly well delineated. So this is a point-to-point movement map, if you couldn't tell. You should be able to. But then you've got the different countries and regions. So Mesopotamia's in this, like, divided up, Syria's divided up, and within that you've got the different colors of the areas within those regions. So you've got a lot of color coordination, but it all looks reasonably clear, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. Next up we've got some victory point tracks, and probably general records tracks as well. We've got one on each side, so we've got an orange one down there, got a purple one up here as well. Okay, let's dive in here, because there's a lot to unpack. So, you do get a ton of bags, which we always like, especially if we've got a bunch of components in here. We have a number of custom dice, and you'll recognize maybe some of these symbols, like these little dots. These remind me of the ones from Hannibal and Hamilcar. They're a little bit smaller, but so we've got regular D6s, and then we have a couple of elephant dice. So they have a number of different elephants on each side, and these are fully engraved and embossed, which is nice, and some of them are blank. Now we have a bunch of multicolored standees These are the stands for them, and presumably in all the player colours. Well, that was a fail. I just poured them all out onto the mat. Put those in there, and then we also have ring bases. Again, in all the player colours. So there's red, blue, green, yellow, and black, and these will go on the bases of the leaders that you're going to choose to lead your armies. You can kind of see here these have they have a lip on them on either side, so it's easy to slot them in. With the there's some stuff on the bases, and I'll show you that of how those slot in without covering up any of the numbers, which is nice. So we've got a couple of decks of cards. This one is very big. Let's see if I can't open these. Am I too dumb to open the cards? No. Not today. Some days I am. So these are huge. I've got small hands, but these are huge. Alright. So we've got a movement allowance table. That's like more of a play aid than anything else. How cool is that artwork though? How nice is that? Like, it's so unnecessary, but it's so nice. The rest of these look like they're all in the same deck. These are very large, have really nice artwork on them, and then explains presumably some kind of event that you can do. I don't know if this is a CDG in the traditional sense, but you've got a value up here that presumably you can use. That might be a cost. These are combat cards. There's a whole bunch of those. Man, those are big. Those are nice. That's what I'm talking about. This, you know, does the size really do anything practically? Maybe. Maybe it helps people who don't have the best eyesight be able to play this a little bit better, but it's just like extra and very nice to play with something that's looks great and feels great in your hands. And yeah, I can't open these ones. Fantastic. I'll get to those later. Alright, so this box of miniatures is actually taped in. So we're going to untape that and pop these out. And they are gracious enough, thank goodness, by the way, to give you a little guide of how, I really hope, of how to put them back in. Because this is one of the problems that I have with things like Mythic games. You know, getting them back in the way you got them out is very challenging. So you have this as a pictorial guide of, look, this guy goes here, this guy goes here, right? And then this is dual-sided. Oh, okay. This little insert is actually fixed in there, but you can look on this back side. That's how these guys go in there. But let's get these out, just so we can kind of see some of this, how nice these miniatures are. They have a good amount of detail on them, all things considered. And these are a reasonably hard plastic. It's not the old days of Zombicide, where they were a sad little soft plastic. They're not your Reaper Bones ones, which just, you know, those don't feel good. But these are very, very nice. And they're in a nice ivory color, like the statues would be, which I think is a nice little touch. But they look absolutely gorgeous. And you're just going to be strolling those guys around the map, basically. Now, if you don't want to use those, I believe you can use standees instead. So you've got these little standees, and these are pre-rounded, double-sided, very, very nice. And you can use those in the stands, or you've got these little ring bases that you put the guys in. So this chump, you stick him into the ring base, and you can see his little 4/4 value on both sides from either angle is kind of flush within that. There's a little dovetail where that sticks out, which I appreciate them going the extra mile and doing that. That was really nice. So, very happy with how those look. Oh, okay. Here's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in an unboxing. Thank goodness, PHALANX. Whoever did this needs to get a raise, because there's like a finger tab cut into these cardboard sheets to help get them out of the bottom of the box. Hallelujah. The amount of times I have to tip my boxes upside down and lose counters is unreal. So I really appreciate that. And whoever designed that thought this was a great idea, which it is, and probably is an unsung hero as far as this game goes. So I very much appreciate that. Put that positivity out into the world. So we have a number of markers, presumably, I would presume these are control markers for territories that you've moved through, because they equate to the player colors, red, yellow, blue, green, and black. And then it looks like we've got military forces. So you've got kind of these Macedonian phalanx units, and then we've got some probably light skirmish type units, it looks like, with javelins. And we got some cav units, some hoplites, and then some grey markers. Not quite sure what those are for. Oh, and those are dual-sided. Oh, very interesting. Okay. And then a bunch of ships. Those are great looking ships with different kind of nationalities, flags on them, I guess, is all standards, whatever you'd call them. Is this a first player marker, the old throne? The ring of the emperor? That's pretty sweet, if that's the case. Alright, so there's a lot of stuff in here, a lot of stuff to like. This is not a small game. What do they say on the back? Do they give a time? This plays in... cool. It plays in 90 plus minutes, so any time longer than 90 minutes. So I don't know quite how long a 5-player game this is going to go for, but we're attending a number of conventions this year, or we've got a couple get-togethers, so hopefully we're going to get some big games of this played and kind of let you know what we think about it. But I am very, very, very excited for this. PHALANX makes great games. Again, Successors has been around the block a couple times, and this is just the latest iteration where they've kind of spiffied it up, I think. So I'm really excited to play this. I have high expectations and high hopes for this. And big 5-player Ancients war games are always enjoyable. You know, it's always fun to just kind of see what happens and the chaos that ensues. So I appreciate you very much for tuning in. This is Successors, a huge box, by the way, from PHALANX. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Check it out if you're interested. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.